On today's Ugly Agent podcast, we're going to talk about perspective and how it can change your life. So my name's Rich Melton. I'm the host of the Ugly Agent podcast, and perspective is such a huge thing for a lot of people. One of the biggest things is I hear people a lot say things like, this is the hardest time we've ever lived in our lives, and it's never been harder than this, and I just have to think back, and this is kind of where I put myself into perspective. Even days I get, start to think that, man, it is tough out there, and we have so much on our plates, and it's so stressful, and I have to stop myself. I have to sit back and I have to start thinking. And the biggest point that I try to remind myself is that we really live in a time that is life that we have, as we've known, has never been easier as a society, as human beings in general. And the basis for that idea is really because if you think about even just 200 years ago, 100 years ago, whatever, when people were, this country was still being formed, even before it was a country. Let's say you were European descent, you were born in Europe somewhere, and you thought, you know what, America's the place for me. I'm gonna come over here, and you think about how that's going to happen. You have no money, you're penniless, you have no real way about you, but you're gonna sign up to be an indentured servant for some family for 5 to 7 years, let's say. So you're in Europe, you sign this package, you go ahead and put together all the stuff you need to make sure that you have your indentured servants package. You've committed everything. You now got to ride across the ocean. So you're going to get on a sailboat. You're going to go 3 months from Europe across to America on a sailboat with all the provisions that are packed, hoping that you survive this journey. And I mean, I think that alone is something we kind of take for granted now. This is not a Carnival cruise ship. This is, everybody's jammed in there, and it's not really always going to be a fun ride. I don't think anybody really enjoyed that trip. Even the people that worked the ship had issues. So once we've finally navigated the ocean, right, and we land in America, we get to wherever our family's at, and we work for them for 5 years. So let's say you leave Europe when you're 15, and now you've got your 5-year indentured servitude, and you're 20. So now you're 20 years old. You are effectively at that point an old man. Now, half of your life is gone, or old woman, I guess, and you probably haven't really had a time to work on relationships or anything else. You may have. But in all reality, say your time in service is over, and now you decided, I'm going to strike out on my own. I'm going to go find my riches and whatever in America. So you don't have any money, or maybe you have very little. You've saved a little bit, whatever the case may be, but you know that the real opportunity is going west, going out to where the land is cheap or free. Materials are out there. You can do everything you need to do, but you know that freedom is really what you want. So you've now got to find a caravan that's going to go west. You don't want to travel by yourself. You need the support of other people and a way to haul some of your stuff. So this caravan, mind you, is a whole bunch of like-minded individuals. Some of them have wagons, some of them don't. Nobody really has a horse, maybe a couple people, but they're basically following the wagon tracks laid down before them by someone else. So this is the part that I think is truly amazing. Beyond just getting across the ocean and everything else, you're gonna be on a group with oxen that are pulling these wagons 2 to 3 miles an hour. I mean, no, horses are expensive. There's no way that you can afford to have horses pull these wagons. So 2 to 3 miles an hour. Let's say you're in Philadelphia, right? Philadelphia is it's quite a distance from. I'm in Kansas City, just outside of Kansas City. So you can imagine 2 to 3 miles an hour from Philadelphia to Kansas City. It takes a long time to drive there at 70 plus miles an hour. So the amount of time and effort that goes into this, and by the way, don't forget, in that wagon you have to have all your supplies for winter, summer, spring, and fall, and anything you can't get on the way. So if tools or whatever else, you may not be able to acquire it. So you have to have all that stuff in that wagon. And as you start walking, because you're going to walk and ride, whatever, with your caravan. So here's the real issue. There are no bridges. You know, things we take for granted, there are no bridges, there's no running water. There are a few stores where you can get some flour or whatever else, but anything you've got to go hunt it and kill it, or you're probably not eating. You can't. There might be a grain mill in there where you can grind up some of the corn or flour or whatever it is, but you have to be able to get those supplies first to be able to buy them. They have to be available. So that means going to some store. It's not like Walmarts are all over, right? You gotta find the local town that has been supplied or resupplied recently. This is prior to trains being all over the country, so they're really doing any real shipment stuff's happening by boat, up the Mississippi River. So back to we're walking across. There are no bridges, and the Mississippi is a great example. That's one giant river. There is no. You have to get on a ferry. You have to get on a ferry where they pull it across. So your whole group, it could take a day to get across just that river. If there's not a ferry there, you're fording it by going through the water, trying to find the lowest spot, hoping that there's no inclement weather or rains where it's going to wash you away or wash somebody in your party away. To me, that's real stress. So let's just focus on we're finally getting through all that stuff, and we make it all the way to Kansas. We're going to come to Gardner, Kansas, my hometown. So we get to Gardner. Obviously, we're not going to get a hotel room because we've saved all our pennies to get this far. We've got a plot of land that the government's going to give us for free. And we get to our plot, and there's no house there. You've got to build a house. Let's say you're going even further. You're going out west in western Kansas, almost to Colorado. There's really not a lot of trees out there. So you're in the plains. What are you building out there? I mean, in Gardner, even the trees are not that there much around where you hopefully got a property with trees on it. But if you didn't, you don't know, you didn't get to pick it, you didn't get to look at it beforehand. You're building it out of mud. It's an adobe house. You're building it out of mud, straw, and you're trying to build a fortification that you can survive in, right away. Hopefully, it's not wintertime when you land. Again, we're talking about real stresses, real problems. So now you've got this. You don't know anybody. You're really in a completely new environment, and now you've got to grow your own food. You've got to have money to buy the seed. You've got to have time for the seed to grow. There is no running water. There is no toilet. There's no toilet paper. I mean, oh my God, can you imagine no toilet paper? Society comes to a standstill at my house with no toilet paper. So these are things when you're thinking about how, it's rough, it's this, it's that. You need to put it in perspective, and this is how I do it. I look back and I think about how difficult living like that must have been, and the people that work so hard to get this country where it's at right now. There are a lot of people who sacrificed everything up and into including their lives to get this country where it's at. And it's not, we've made mistakes, don't get me wrong, as a country, as a society, but it's still the best country this world has ever seen. And I'm telling you, the free market and how things work here, and it's not a free market anymore, I get it, but the things that have led up to where we're at right now are huge. And the ease of life that we have, so many people take for granted. And I think that causes a little bit of, in my honest opinion, it causes some depression, because when things are so easy that you don't even realize how easy they are, you can really get sucked into the idea that, it's so hard, it's so terrible. I mean, we're so stressed, and it shouldn't be this hard. And really, when you're looking around going, there's nothing there. I mean, it's so easy. You can be successful by default. You don't even have to really know how it happened. You can actually just be one of these people who lucks into things and gets whatever. Imagine being that person on the trip, out on the wagon train where everything is trying to kill you. I mean, we just do not have that kind of stress in our lives now. And I think when you put yourself into that perspective and you really look at what's going on in your life, and you're like, oh, well, I've got this going on, or I've got that, or kids are going to soccer and I can't get everything done, and I'm only sleeping 6 or 8 hours a night, and it's like, but you're getting to sleep. Imagine being that person out on the plains in the middle of nowhere, having no friends, having barely a musket maybe or something to defend themselves, and they have no idea what's going on around them. I mean, that to me is real stress. So I'll take a second here. We're going to we're going to get a quick message from our sponsors, and then I'll get back with you guys here in a second. All right. So give me 1 second here. We're going to roll this up. And I want to talk to you for a second about concealed carry holsters, specifically the Cover 6 Gear single point swivel system. It is the most versatile holster on the planet. The single belt clip rotates and allows you to wear this holster anywhere on your body you can reach. Left to right handed, they have models for over 170 different weapons, all handmade by an Amish family in Kansas. You can bet that when you get your Cover 6 Gear single point swivel system holster that you're going to love it. Be sure to go to cover6gear.com, put in the code UGLYAGENTS at checkout. You'll get 10% off your order. It's the most comfortable holster you'll ever wear. If you or someone you know is looking for a good realtor in the Kansas City area, go to richsellsforyou.com. That's Rich Sells, the number 4, and then YOU.com. You'll see I'm not your average agent. Videos, walkthrough presentations of every house, lots and lots of pictures. Whether you're looking for a listing agent or a buyer's agent in Kansas City or the surrounding areas, the safe bet is to go to richsellsforyou.com. When it comes to realtors, there's a new standard for excellence. All right, so we appreciate our sponsors, and if you have any questions about any of them, send me a message or whatever. By the way, be sure to like and share and subscribe to our channel. You're going to hear a lot of stuff on here that's not normal. It's not the usual stuff you hear on self-help or development or sales. I kind of run the gambit on everything, and from everything we're going to do stuff about kids and everything else. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and let your friends know about it. So anyway, back to perspective. So perspective, that's one way to get your mind set up where you really are starting to think about how good you have it, right? Because if we can look at how bad it's been, right? And so take things in your life. We all have issues where, people weren't nice to us or whatever else. If you focus on those things and you let those things run your life, they will ruin your life. Right? So we need to focus on everything that's positive. And what you do is when you get up in the morning, right away you need to start with a positive thought. You need to get all that negative stuff out of your mind because that is going to kill you. It will eat away at you like a cancer. So when you get up, and your perspective in the morning should be, man, I got up. I got another day to make things happen. If you can just say that to yourself every morning when you wake up, you're like, hey, you know what? God or whatever entity or whatever you believe in has given me another day on the planet to make somebody's life better. I have that opportunity and I'm not going to waste it. Now I'm going to tell you, there's a big part of that that's you're probably going to take for granted, and that's that you have to make somebody's life better. That is going to make your life better overall, because we can't do anything without helping other people. I mean, that's how you're going to be successful, right? So the only way I become successful is by helping you become successful. And that's true with me, it's true with you, it's true with everybody. So if you can make that happen in your life, you can actually help other people. So when you're really sitting there thinking about it, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, how can I help people today? That's what we're doing here with the Ugly Agent Podcast. I'm ugly. It's been a problem my whole life. I've dealt with it, but still I've overcome that. And I'm able to still talk to people. So I'm able to help people in their day. So when you're looking at things, I want you to start thinking about, okay, who can I help in my life? And it doesn't have to be like, so many people think when they talk about help, they talk about financial help or whatever else. I can donate, I can do this, I can do that. You can help tons of people every day without giving them a dime. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to look at somebody like, if I see you out on the street and I realize you're feeling down, I can just walk up to you and say, hey, I hope you're having a great day. I really want you to have a happy day. I want you to do whatever. And so if you see somebody who's having a problem, interact with them, make a difference in their life. It could be a complete stranger. It doesn't have to be somebody you know. You may find out by default when you start talking to this person that you have a lot in common and you can help each other. Right? So there's nothing better than doing that. If you see somebody having a problem, reach out to them. Your friends, your family, you can get on Facebook. I mean, there's a lot of people who look for drama. I would stay away from that. And that's me personally, because if they're looking for drama, and you know who I'm talking about, you've been there, you people who are doing that need to stop. The random Facebook posts that say things like, well, anyway, I don't even want to get into that. But you know what drama looks like. If you don't know what drama looks like, you might be the person starting drama. So stay away from that. Only help people who can be helped, and they have to help themselves like you are now. You're never going to change somebody else. They have to change themselves. Half of the battle is you helping yourself. So that's actually a big part of it. And I'll be honest with you, you are the biggest problem in your own life, and you don't even know it. Most people are inherently, they're going to cause their own demise, and I'm as guilty of it as the next person, because what tends to happen is you start to think that you're not worthy of the success that you've earned. And so in the back of your mind, subconsciously, you start thinking about, well, I mean, I've done all this, and am I really worth it? And yes, you are. You have earned it. That is the key. So you really want to start thinking about how, and this is another perspective moment, you've earned these things, and you've got to sometimes remind yourself what you did to earn that. Because if you've worked extra hours, if you've given up time with your family, if you've given up and done things for your boss when they've asked, when no one else does that, that is what's benefiting. And that's what benefits you, and it benefits your clients, your customers, and your family. Because doing the things that you do that no one else does, let's face it, there are benefits to you, even at work. Even if you don't think you're appreciated, somebody will appreciate you. And if your current employer doesn't appreciate you, the next one's going to. That's typically how you're going to get another job, right? Somebody's going to hear about the outstanding job you do, and that should be our goal, is that this job may not be the one that works for me. And I can tell you, I've had a lot of jobs. I've had a lot of bosses. Not all of them appreciated all the things that I do, all the things, the way that I go about things, or the way that I do things. I'm out of the box, right? So some companies, some businesses, that doesn't work well with them. Eventually you'll find one, I hope, or you'll start one that does accept you for what the benefits that you have. So that's here again, that's somebody helping me when I found those companies, or I started that company, and I understand what's going on, and I have to provide that value to either them or myself. But you really have to, again, when we talk about perspective, a big part of it is what you can do for yourself. You have to be the one to make the change. You have to be the one to actively wake up in the morning and say, today is going to be a better day. I'm going to do some things. And a lot of times it can be as simple as, when you're changing your perspective, find one thing that you're going to do that day. In the morning, you're going to say, hey, look, like if you're trying to weight loss or whatever else, say, look, I'm going to go ahead and every time I think about a donut, if I walk by that donut at the Quick Trip or the gas station or whatever, I'm going to just look at it and say, it'll be good, but not today, right? Those little wins will make a huge difference in your life, because you will start to notice that you're not gaining weight, because you're not eating those horrible things, because you're actually, your mind is starting to be rewritten, that your operation, it's kind of like, updating your computer. You've got to change the way your mind works, and that's updating your operating system by saying, hey, look, we're going to not do this. Now, sometimes I know a lot of people take notes and they write to themselves every time they have a craving. I think my dad, I was probably like 5 years old when he stopped smoking, and he had a little journal that he wrote in and said, hey, what are the triggering things that are, setting me off to make me do this? Now, I'm going to tell you, in today's society, if you're going to write down everything that triggers you, there's a lot of people in this world that need a book about the size of the encyclopedia every day so they're not triggered. Now, I can't help you guys, all of you, all at once. We're going to have to slowly pick through that a little bit. So, but if you really want to start small. Start on one thing. Just do one thing differently for an entire week. Start a new habit. Change your perspective. So I do Miracle Morning. I don't know if you're familiar with that book. It's a great book. I'd highly recommend looking into it, because in the Miracle Morning, it talks about how you can change your things, and it's really changed the way I do stuff. I used to get up at, 5:30 sometimes. I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I work out, I meditate, I do a lot of stuff, and it's really helped me to focus my energies and really help me see where I was losing time and where I was inefficient with my time. And part of it is journaling and doing some other stuff. But you really can make a big difference in your own life, but you have to be the one to do it. No one can do it, especially as we come up on 2019. Everybody's going to have some kind of goal, and, weight loss is always a big one with everybody. Again, no one can do that for you. You can go and set that goal, but if you don't make the changes, the goal won't happen. your perspective won't change. So one of the main, I think one of the big things is you got to, like I do a lot of visualizations. If you don't really like vegetables and everything else, you're going to have to visualize you eating a lot of vegetables. That's just the way it is. And that's how you change your perspective. So anyway, I'm going to kind of move into something else here. We're going to take a little break and listen to, I got a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to get a drink and we'll come back for a second. All right. So give me 1 second here. Simplicity in your life. Are you ready to lose dangerous, unwanted weight, drop inches, and melt away fat fast without dieting? My friend Brio Guerra has a clinically proven system that will have you losing that muffin top, aging backwards, shredding pounds, and gaining lean muscle, all naturally. At less than $3 a meal, you deserve this kind of health and simplicity in your life. In 30 days, you'll get your health back or your money back. They guarantee results. So contact Brio Guerra right now at 816-520-8102. Tell her you heard this on the Ugly Agent Podcast for a free health and coaching consultation. Don't forget to ask about their generous referral program. Make money while you lose weight. That sounds like a great plan for 2019. And so back to perspective. So I'm going to have 5 minutes here and I'll finish this up. So if you decide one of the things I do for perspective and to change the way that I do things, right? So I tend to take this equipment that I have here and record myself saying my goals, saying what I'm going to do, saying how I'm going to change things. And it really allows me in the morning when I'm doing my workout or whatever to listen to myself tell me what I need to do. So in the morning I wake up and I go to do my walking or my yoga or whatever. I've got my headphones in. I'm going to go ahead and play some audio of me telling myself, hey, look, you need to make 10 calls a day. You need to do these things. These are what's in your goals. And these are what you're going to achieve. So I'm basically reminding my subconscious that, hey, these are things that have to get done. So that way I don't have an excuse not to do it, right? So I have a whole video on goal setting coming out, and also have one on, we're going to do some, I'll read into the microphone and say some positive things and you can listen to it, because sometimes maybe it's not you want to hear, maybe it's me. It just throwing that stuff out. And so give you kind of an idea or a baseline of what to say to yourself or what to say so you can hear yourself. Because a lot of times people don't think about something that simple. You can really, it's like rewriting your brain. If you're telling yourself, hey, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And I can tell you from experience, it just like making a video like this, one of the easy ways to do it, obviously, is to go out and, you got to practice. You got to stand there in front of the camera. You got to get comfortable with it. But if you start telling yourself, hey, you're going to be comfortable with the camera, this is what you're going to do, you need to start doing it, it will be easier. Your subconscious kicks in, and all of a sudden you're standing there and you realize you can do it. And this works with so many different things. Obviously, it can't work with if you start telling yourself, hey, look, you're going to know calculus. That doesn't really work well. But on things that are really basic and can really make a big difference in your life. Now, if you told yourself, hey, you're going to every day for 30 minutes, you're going to start getting on YouTube and finding videos on calculus and learn how to do calculus, you'd be surprised how many days, if you spend every day 30 minutes a day on YouTube or somewhere else trying to figure out how to do calculus, you probably will know how to do calculus in a very short time. And there's going to be somebody out there who's teaching you how to do it in a way that you understand. That was always kind of my problem in school. I was never a very good student. I think I'm a fairly smart guy, but the problem is the way they teach in school is not the way I learn in the real world. So I'm a very hands-on person. I have to actually do it and have application. And I'll tell you just a funny story about me. I failed geometry twice, right? I passed the third time with a D, and my family was so proud. Never have, we had such a problem. I mean, everybody can show me this, everyone can explain it. Ironically enough, for the most part, when I look at a problem, right, I could actually figure it out in my mind without actually doing all the work. But the teachers, see, they don't give you credit for that. You had to go and show them how you could actually do everything. We could not figure out why that is. And really what the answer is I learned differently. I learned with using my hands. So, fast forward, I got a D, so my family's happy. I got the minimum, to graduate, and I did. So fast forward a year and a half later, I'm building houses in Phoenix, Arizona, right? I'm going to school out there, and during the day I'm building houses. So Here I am. It's like 110 degrees outside, and I'm using my tape measure, and I'm drawing out, and I'm marking off something, and all of a sudden, I mean, it was like just bam, all this information just downloaded into my brain, and I'm looking at my tape measure, and I was like, oh my God, I know geometry. In my mind, I'm saying this, I'm like, this is what they were talking about. This is so friggin' amazing, you know? And I was like, oh yeah, I could see exactly. And so I could actually, I'm sitting there and I just got excited and I started screaming, I know geometry. And I'm yelling at the guys, I know geometry. And I'm telling you, they were looking at me like, get him out of the sun. His brain has cooked. He is done. They couldn't figure it out because they hadn't understood the struggle that I had with geometry, you know. And here again, it was perspective. We probably should have looked at a different way of seeing if I could understand it. Now it's, you know, one of those things where I realized that, and I realized it was the way they were teaching the hands-on method. We would have a fun contest with my friends where we would do a math problem and I would use my tape measure and I could beat them on a calculator using the tape measure, which is, I don't think I can do that anymore. That was a fun trick when I was, 20 years old. But, that's where I look at my kids and I'm like, hey, are you having problems with a math or whatever it is? And we really look at how the teacher's teaching, how we can maybe teach it a different way. So that perspective, we're going, hey, look, just because it's the way the school wants it doesn't mean that's the right way. And I'm not going to get into the politics of Common Core or any of that stuff, but that was a real problem for my kids, the way they were doing it in there. But I went to the teacher and said, hey, look, here's the thing. They don't learn that way. They learn this way, and we got it okayed. So anyway, I really appreciate you guys tuning in today. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short. Normally we go about an hour, 45 minutes. This one's going to be a short one of 30 plus minutes or so. But I really want to thank you for tuning in. And be sure to like and share and subscribe. And if you guys have topics that you want me to discuss on how to help your business, let me know, because I've got a lot of content coming out, but there's always going to be a need for a specific content. Maybe I can help you with your business or your sales group or something and figure out how we can help you increase your sales. Because one of the crazy things about me, I've had all these businesses, I always have a hard time marketing them, but when some stranger walks up to me and says, hey, I have this widget and I'm having a hard time selling it, I can instantly come up with a business plan and a plan of action and everything else on how to sell their product, while I sit over here trying to think of my own and can't get it done. It's one of those things. It's the way I'm wired. I'm constantly I guess I just can't relax enough on my own stuff to make it work. So anyway, again, I want to thank you guys for listening and watching on YouTube, and be sure to, again, like, share, and subscribe. So thank you so much. And as always, I'm here to serve you. So have a great day.